Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going over how I got a breast reduction while being in the military. And it's really cool. I am almost a month. I'm holding my boob. I'm holding my boob. It's because they're still pretty sore. I'm almost a month post-op. So it happened pretty recently and I'm really excited to talk about it. I'm so grateful I got it done. It's amazing. TRICARE did pay for it. Hence why I'm making this video. If you guys don't know, I'm in the United States Air Force. I'm 21. I've been in the Air Force for about 2 years, almost 2 years, yeah. And I'm currently stationed in Okinawa, Japan. So I'm gonna be telling you guys how I got my breast reduction paid for by TRICARE, like what I got for convalescent leave. If y'all don't know, convalescent leave is leave that the military gives you when you have procedures. Like when I got my wisdom teeth taken out, I got 3 days. Before we get into the video, I do have to do a disclaimer that I am not sponsored or endorsed by the Air Force or DoD. I am just sharing my experience. This is literally just all my experience, and I do want to mention before we go forward that because this is my experience, if you are active duty, this all may depend. I don't really know if it really depends on like what branch. Like TRICARE is for all branches, but I don't know what the process is for going through other things in other branches. But I do know for me, this is based off my experience with my doctors, being stationed overseas in Japan, and being in the Air Force. So your experience may differ from mine. I'm just kind of giving this as an overall basis. I had to go between a couple of different people. My doctor didn't really know the whole entire process, so I was constantly calling between TRICARE and her and a lot of different people. So I'm making this video in hopes that it could help guide some of y'all, but this is my experience. Okay, to start off, let me tell you guys why I wanted the surgery to begin with. So if you guys are kind of in the same boat, then I can maybe help you gravitate towards leaning towards getting the surgery. I am by no means suggesting anybody needs a surgery, but obviously if y'all clicked on this video, you're interested in it. So I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit more about me. I started puberty when I was 10, so by the time I was 12 years old, I already had a C cup, which is insane. My whole life, I've had giant boobs my whole entire life. From 12 to 19, I had a C cup, and then you go through a second puberty when you go into your early adulthood. If y'all don't know, it differs for everybody. Like, so I started my period. I did start my period at a young age, but because I started puberty slash my period at a very young age, it does make sense that I did start my second puberty 19 going into my 20s. So when my second puberty happened, I went up 2 more cup sizes. So I was a double D, and I was spilling out of all of my C cup bras. I was spilling out of them so much, and it was so annoying. But it doesn't stop there. If you guys have ginormous boobs, you guys know that it's just so much back pain. I constantly had knots, but I still have knots. But obviously, I just had surgery, so I can't really like go get a massage. I can't lay on my chest. But they would always give me super bad knots from the weight of my breast carrying down. I would get rashes super easily. It was a constant pain. Since getting surgery, I've noticed I've always been like this. I've been having to rewrite my brain to like relax my shoulders because I was constantly having to use other muscles to support the weight in my body. My back always hurt. I was always super tender. It was just not fun. And on top of that, I was also super self conscious of them. And overall, my whole life had been dedicated to my boobs. That might sound dramatic, but like in reality, like you wear clothes every day, right? All of my clothes had to be catered to my breast. Everybody works out. I had to cater my workouts to my breast. I have to wear super compacted bras to hold them, and then I can't breathe. I get bruised super easily because of them. But if I don't wear them, then I have pain really easily because the skin's literally like slapping and like moving, and it hurts. What I'm trying to get at is they were a pain. I did not like them. I didn't hate them per se. I don't really like believe in like hating my body because like it is my body at the end of the day. But I definitely had a certain disdain for them. I really didn't like them, and I was really wanting this surgery since I was like 17 years old. So this wasn't any rash decision. This was something I wanted for a very long time. And when I found out that TRICARE could pay for it, I was really happy and I was really grateful. So that is why I wanted the surgery. Okay, so now we get into the fun stuff, the appointments and everything else. Not gonna lie, most of these steps are pretty straightforward. Like I said, I didn't know what to do. My doctor really didn't either. Like she did, but she didn't know the exact steps and process that I had to take. So I was calling a lot between people. So hopefully these steps will really help y'all. But it is pretty straightforward for the most part. And it really just starts with making that first appointment. And if y'all are active duty military, you know, all you have to do is call your PCM. Well, you're not literally calling your PCM. You're calling the front office, the front desk. I don't know what they're called. The primary care team. That's what you're calling. And I was like, hey, can I make an appointment with my PCM? And they're like, oh, what for? I was like, oh, I was looking to get a referral for a breast reduction surgery. And they literally just put that down. And then I had my next appointment a couple weeks out. If y'all know, yes, technically it is easy to call and make the appointment, but every clinic could be different, every hospital could be different. If y'all in the military, you know that it could be weeks out, it could be months out, or they could have a cancellation and then next Wednesday's available. So it really just depends. So I did have to wait a couple of weeks before I got seen, but I was pretty straightforward. You literally just call and make an appointment, and that's it. But day of the appointment, so I got there, and it was pretty straightforward, like the usual. Like your nurse is gonna come bring you back. They're gonna like weigh you. They're gonna like bring you in. They're gonna ask about your symptoms. She had a list of a couple questions that the PCM wanted her to ask me before the PCM even saw me. So we kind of went over it. She asked like what my symptoms were, and then I kind of mentioned everything up top and more. The key to this whole process is, y'all, and I'm being really serious when I mean this, make sure you go into detail how much pain you're in. Yes, the subconscious part and like confidence is like a good factor. It definitely played in a huge factor for me, but the pain outweighed everything else, and they're gonna get approve your surgery based off your pain and based off your symptoms. So if you guys have all those other symptoms that I was mentioning, please mention that. So I told her about it. I went into more detail. She asked me what I had done to try to like rectify the situation, like to help. And then I kind of had mentioned earlier in the year, like at a totally unrelated appointment, I had an ingrown toenail. As I say, it was totally unrelated appointment, but I kind of mentioned to the doctor that I was interested in getting one. He was like, "Oh well, if you lose some weight, we could get the surgery for you." This was a whole different doctor. He actually had PCS by the time I had this appointment, but I had already been like losing weight, so I lost 19 pounds. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Hashtag ADHD medication. It's really what helped me lose so much weight because when you have ADHD, you kind of binge eat, so it really helped me control my appetite. But I had lost 19 pounds, and that actually is in the system because I had appointments in between, so they were able to like track my fluctuation of weight. So I told her I had lost 19 pounds, which I had been told to do, and then I told her I get massages. Obviously, I pay for that on my own, so that's not in the system. But I told her I get massages, which I really do because the knots are so painful. Like they cause you so much backache. It's annoying. But how I should have not done that. Guys, remember, I'm only 4 weeks post op. No, I'm not even 4 weeks post op yet. So if I move too fast, it hurts still. But that was it. I kind of just told her my symptoms, and then she was like, "Great," and she went back. She told the doctor. You wait like you usually do. Then the doctor came in and she talked to me. She's like, "Oh, it's like I know you're here because you want a breast reduction um, referral." And I was like, "Yeah." And then she asked me more questions, and I told her kind of the same thing. And she also had like really big breasts too, so she understood, and like she was like, "Oh, I was even thinking about it at one point, but I just decided to invest in better bras." So like, "Oh, okay." So she kind of understood me in a way, and like went over, we talked about some certain things, and then she started to like like examine me, and like I didn't realize how tender and sore and like how much it hurt to be touched in certain areas, until like she was like tapping my spine like up here, and she was like touching like my lats, and I didn't realize how much they hurt until like she started to like kind of just mess with them, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I can see." And see, I'm doing it again. Um, or I put my shoulders up, and she was like, I can see the little indentions in the hunch, because when you have really big breasts and you have to wear these really compact sports bras, you get little indentions right here. So I had the indentions, like you're just able to see, like even with the bra, like you could just look at me and be like, this woman has a big breast. She agreed that I was a good candidate for it, and so she was like, I'm gonna make sure I document this really well for you. Which this is a huge part of getting TRICARE to approve y'all stuff, is make sure like y'all's team is documenting it. Make sure you go to a doctor that you trust. This is actually a new doctor. I've never had her before, but it ended up being great. So if you have a doctor you already kind of like you trust a bit, you can definitely go to them. But I just got really lucky and I got a really good doctor, and she was like, I'm gonna document this for you. I'm gonna put in 2 referrals, so one for plastic surgery and then one for physical therapy, because TRICARE does require you for the most part, I believe, for active duty. I could be wrong, because I've heard, I was talking to some spouses and they never had to do physical therapy, but as far as I'm concerned, active duty has to do physical therapy. So I got a referral put in for that, and that was it. She just sent me on my way, and I just had to wait for my referrals to come in. For the referrals, it was actually a pretty fast turnaround for them to get back to me for plastic surgery. I was actually reached out via email from the overseas TRICARE team. Like, we coordinated because I actually went to an off-base doctor. I got my breast reduction done by a Japanese doctor, which is super cool. It was super cool. And I'm actually going to make a whole different video on it. So if you guys want to see that, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification button so you don't miss out on it. But the reason why I'm not going to go like too deep into my experience getting it done off base is because they didn't play a huge role in getting it approved by TRICARE. And this video is mainly how like I got it approved by TRICARE, because that is a huge undertaking to do, is to get stuff approved by TRICARE. So I'm gonna save that for a whole nother video because it is really cool, and I hope you guys will stick around to hear about my experience going off base. I coordinated with the overseas TRICARE people. They set me up an appointment, and then I went and I saw them. They're like, great. And then they will try, well, for my experience getting it done in Okinawa, Japan, because I was going through like, we'll just call them a third party because technically like they're separate from TRICARE. I brought my referrals that TRICARE referral overseas gave me, and I gave it to them. So they were trying to like get me in within like the next month, which would have been November. I got it done December 7th. I was like, whoa, TRICARE has not approved this. And if you have that surgery before TRICARE approves it, you will be paying for it. I told them to put it a little bit farther out because I still had to go see physical therapy, and I didn't know like what I was going to have to do for physical therapy. But physical therapy also reached out to me around the same time that TRICARE overseas did. So physical therapy I did at our naval hospital at Camp Foster, because the Kadena is just a little clinic. They do have a decent amount of stuff there, but they don't have as much stuff as the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and then I did my first initial appointment, and the lady was so nice. She was such a great doctor. And like I said, I got so lucky, and I am so happy and so blessed that I got such amazing people to help me through this process, because I went in there, she was like, "Oh, like I see you're here for a breast reduction. Like you want to get a breast reduction." I was like, "Oh, yes, ma'am." And she was like, "Do you have a surgery date?" And I had already seen plastic surgery, so I was like, "Oh yeah, I do." She's like, "Wow, I already got approved." I was like, "Oh no, ma'am. It was like a third party, so like I still have to go through you to get the approval." She was like, "Oh, okay, I understand." So she actually did teach me some good things, because I have had so much weight on my chest and my shoulders were constantly like this without even realizing it. Um, she had to me do a lot of like certain back movements, and I almost had no back muscles there because all my weight was focused on keeping my breast like from not falling all the time. So it was super cool. She did really show me some really good exercises, and then at the end of the day, like, doing exercises is not going to change the size of my boobs or my situation. And she understood that as well. And I had talked to her, and I was like, "Oh, my PCM had told me she didn't know if this was like a program or not, because TRICARE may make y'all do a program." I'm just gonna let you guys know for fair warning. My PCM was really surprised that TRICARE approved me the first go, because typically TRICARE would want to see you go for like months or like weeks or like multiple sessions. But my physical therapist was like, "These exercises are great, but I can definitely see how this surgery could benefit you and change your life." So she documented it for me, and she recommended that I go forward the surgery, and TRICARE did approve. They only needed that one appointment, so I got really blessed with that. So keep in mind, y'all may have to do multiple sessions, like a whole little regime, but I only had to do one. So by this point, it was already mid-November, and it was getting closer to my surgery date. My surgery date was December 7th, and like I was still kind of in limbo a little bit because I had gone to both of my referral appointments. I didn't know what the next steps were, so I kept checking with my PCM, and then she would call, like she would make a next appointment, and then we kept having checkups because she wanted to make sure that I was fully covered, which was amazing because she was like, "Let's make an appointment, let's check in and see where everything's at." So she was telling me like some things to go do, to call some people. So I was constantly calling between a couple of people, and I'm really glad I did. And like, you guys have to be proactive for yourself, because nobody cares more about your life or about your career more than you. So Had I never called, I would have just had the surgery and then never would have known. So make sure you're constantly being proactive about this situation, especially if you want it. And this is a big thing. So you guys really should be on top of this. But I digress. I digress. So, like I said earlier, she wasn't very familiar with the overseas TRICARE process because she had just PCS'd here. So I was calling TRICARE, and they told me that she had to put in a whole nother referral. So I had the initial referral with plastic surgery, but that was just a consultation and first appointment. And then she had to put in a whole nother referral for the actual surgery itself, which I didn't know that, and she didn't know that. I called my PCM back, and then you go through a nurse first before you talk to your doctor for the most part. So I called the appointment line, put in a message. I got connected to a nurse who ended up helping me for the rest of my process. So she was kind of like the middleman between me and my PCM, and she was like really helpful. She was really helpful too. Like, I'm really grateful for everybody in my process who helped me out because she was on it. She was like, "Let me call referral management for you." So she called referral management. She confirmed that they had to put in another appointment, and we had to wait for the plastic surgery notes to come in because they are a third party. It took a little bit longer for kind of the notes. They just wanted to see it, what the doctor like had said, but like I said, like they really didn't play a big role because we ended up putting in the referral without their notes because it just wasn't coming in. It was taking forever to come in. So the same nurse ended up being the one to help me with my convalescent leave, and I got 28 days, which is so amazing. I'm so grateful for it because I could not imagine going back to work a week or even 2 weeks after surgery. But what I got, is really good, but it might not be the same for all of you guys. So it just depends on your doctor and how much they recommend you have off. I'm honestly not sure if the military like has doctors, like military doctors after this surgery. I'm really not sure. Maybe you get referred to site location all the time. I'm honestly not sure because this is based off my situation, and I was referred to a Japanese doctor. So my Japanese doctor recommended I take a month off to properly recover, and I will put the example of like the doctor's note I got. So in case you guys are wondering what you should have said, this is what my doctor note said. It's kind of redacted, so I did put out some information, so you guys don't have all of it, but that is generally what he said, and that is what my PCM went based off of to make my convalescent leave, and then my nurse like finished up the documentation for it. So I did get 28 days off of work, which is amazing. And then so she helped me with that. I got that convalescent leave paperwork. I submitted to Leave Lab, and then on top of that, we were already kind of like a week away from the surgery, maybe a little bit less than a week. And it was also like Thanksgiving weekend, like it was coming up, and we hadn't gotten like any of the notes back from the off base doctor, which wasn't his fault. It just like took a long time to come to the system. So the PCM went ahead and was like, okay, well, I'm approving this. Nurse, they're officers too. They're all officers. So they had the lieutenant. So the lieutenant was my nurse. So she put in the emergency referral for me, and she called me and she told me she had put it in because I was calling and having updates with her too. Like, she was great. And she told me she put it in. She made sure she documented it well. And she was like, they'll typically get back to you within 3 business days. And like, it was also like the Thanksgiving weekend and everything. So we were kind of like iffy and really hoping that they would get back to us soon. TRICARE overseas referral man, like whatever, I forget exactly what they're called, but their management, they got back to me within a day and a half. I came into work like about a day and a half later, and I was like, oh my god, I have an email. And I started like, I was like dead ass like tearing up at my, I'm tearing up right now, like I was tearing up at my like desk, and I printed it out and I kept rereading it because like I needed to make sure it said like for the surgery, and I was reading it and like what it listed out and like what to charge like to TRICARE, and I was like, oh, I got this approved. Like, I'm getting emotional right now because like it's like I'm so happy with them. It's like it's literally changed my life. They took a pound and a half off my chest. They took a pound and a half off of my chest, literally, which is insane. So I remember like opening it. I'm like, oh my god, I got approved. I'm like, my surgery got approved. Within the next week, I had my surgery, and I did make a video. It's already up on my channel, of me preparing for my room and like sharing my thoughts and my feelings and like what I bought to prepare for the surgery. So if you guys want to go look at that, I already have it up. But it's pretty straightforward. I mean, I went I went to the surgery. It's pretty straightforward. I went to the surgery. You will have someone um, escort you, but unfortunately, they don't give time off for the person helping you. But you guys need help for the first 3 days. I could not get myself out of bed for the first 3 days. Like if I had to pee throughout the night, Estrada took care of me. I would literally have to call out Estrada's name, and she would have to help me out of bed. I could not lift myself up. I genuinely could not move. So you will need someone to help you, like for a lot of things, especially for the first 3 days, for almost everything. And then after that, you can kind of slowly start doing stuff, but you're still like super limited. And I'm gonna go more into detail later on. I'm gonna make another video about it, about like what you really need to know about recovery. I will be making a 1 month post-op video, so keep that in mind. If you guys want to subscribe, that's a perfect time to do it, so you guys don't miss out on that. A really important thing that I want y'all to remember, I need to write this down because it's actually really important, is especially if you're going to a non-military doctor, like I mentioned before. I don't know if military actually does plastic surgery, like military doctors themselves, like enlisted members. I'm not sure if you always get referred to like a civilian place. I'm really not. But make sure your doctor writes you a note clearly stating your restrictions, your physical restrictions. Ow, I'm moving my arm too much. That made my nipple hurt. um, Clearly stating your physical restrictions, and then to when. So an example was, if you are, for example, security forces, they can say like no wearing of bulletproof vest, no standing up for more than 30 minutes because you are exhausted. Oh my god, I was so exhausted going into like week 3. I could not do anything without having to take like a 4-hour nap. It was crazy. And like especially if your unit does weekly PT, or if you're required to do a bunch of physical activity, make sure they state everything you think they would make you do. But also, I just went and looked at a profile. I went to IMR. I'm on a profile because I have ADHD and I take medication. So I kind of just opened up my profile, just went and looked at like all the restrictions you can have for like fitness reasons, and I just made sure to like write all of that down so the doctor can also put that on the note. And this is like really important because you don't want to be forced to do anything that will hurt you or like hinder your healing process. And just because I got a month off of work doesn't mean like I was cleared to do stuff after that first month. My doctor told me I can't even start running for like another month or so. So he made sure to put that on my physical restriction, and then I have a restriction into February 1st. And then if my unit does PT, I have to go do it. So there's that, but that is really important, and make sure you guys have your doctors write you a restrictions note. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go over a little recap and go over all the steps I just told you guys. I wrote it down right here so I can make sure I go in order. But first things first, you make an appointment with your PCM. That is the very first thing you do. The second thing is, I got those 2 referrals, so plastic surgery and physical therapy. 3, I had plastic surgery write me a letter for my con leave, so I had them write that letter I referenced earlier, and I gave it to my PCM. When I gave it to my PCM, I just brought it to like the front desk where you go to check in for your appointments, and I told them who this was for. My doctor is already tracking that I was going to give this to her because she was the one who told me I should go get it. So that's how it's really simple. Like you get your letter for your con leave from your doctor, and then you go give it to your PCM. PCM team gave me my con leave, and then I submitted it through LeaveWeb. I literally just scanned it in, PDF'd it to my emailed it to me, and then I attached that PDF in LeaveWeb. If you guys are active duty, you know what LeaveWeb is. And if you guys don't know how to use LeaveWeb, I'm pretty sure a sergeant or a fellow airman around you can help you put it in. And then number 5, my PCM team submitted my emergency referral to get the surgery approved. And then 6 would be day of surgery, and I made sure to get my specifics restriction written by my doctor. So for medical coverage and like TRICARE covering your surgery wise, those are the most important steps, but there obviously is like a lot more steps in like preparing and a lot more that I'm going to be making videos about. But in terms of like getting TRICARE to approve your stuff and what I went through, those are kind of like the most important steps to do. If you guys found this video helpful, which I'm really hoping like I helped somebody with this video, please hit the subscribe button, turn on those notifications. I will be making more videos about this, and I know like not a lot of people talk about this, especially like in the military. People get breast reductions every day, which is amazing. It's so life-changing, but not everybody gets them while being active duty military, and it is a lot different for us. So I really wanted to share my experience with getting it approved to TRICARE, and I have so much more I want to talk about my surgery, and I hope you guys want to stay along for this ride. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop them down below, and I'll answer them as soon as I can. And with that, I will see y'all next time.